All right, third time's a charm, let's hope. All right, guys, third time's a charm, let's hope. So this week we're talking about choosing self-trust. So the first week of February, we talked about your inner voice and hearing it, not fixing it. Last week we talked about outsourcing our worth, our emotions, and our feelings. And this week we are going to talk about self-trust and how we build back our self-trust because we've been outsourcing, because we've been worried about hurting people's feelings, because we feel like we maybe need to get consensus. And so self trust is believing you can handle your own decisions and your own emotions. So it looks like making a decision and not unraveling it or rethinking it over and over. It means maybe knowing that you disagree with somebody or that someone's been upset about what you have to say and not feeling like you need to go back and steady or fix that. It's letting someone be maybe misunderstand you and not feeling like you have to revisit the conversation or justify your decision. And lastly, it's about disappointing people and not feeling like, we need to know that they're okay or know that everything's okay and just be confident in who you are. And a lot of women don't lack strength in this space. What we've done is that we haven't practiced listening to ourselves. And so breaking self trust looks like a couple different ways. So, first of all, it says it can show up as saying yes when we mean no. It can mean, not listening to our own gut feelings. We ultimately train ourselves that our nervous system that we don't trust ourselves and we're not going to listen to our own voice. It might mean getting to a point of consensus where we're asking multiple people what we think we should do. It might be over explaining boundaries or decisions. And it might mean ignoring our bodies when our bodies are telling us we're sick, we're tired, whatever that might mean, and we're always overriding ourselves. And so, in that, like I said, our nervous system starts to take note. It knows not to trust our own instincts. And we've ultimately stopped listening to ourselves, and it can really affect us in that. So, the cost of outsourcing our decisions really shows up as delaying our own clarity. It usually can add to our own anxiety. It weakens our own internal authority and we become dependent on seeking reassurance from other people because reassurance feels smooth. It doesn't feel bumpy or hard or discomfortable, but it really prevents us from growing. And so every time we ask someone instead of first listening to ourselves, we reinforce that someone else's opinion is more important and better than our own. So choosing self trust in real life looks like sending the email without worrying about regretting it, declining an invitation with feeling like we have to explain it, choosing rest over productivity, which can be hard. I can attest to that one. Letting someone else's mood and absorbing that and letting ourselves get pulled into that. And then saying, yes, this works for me. And just saying, leaving it there. So it's not loud, but it's steady, it's consistent, and with repetition and not intensity, we can start to change things. So here's a really simple practice that I like to work with my clients on that are really trying to move the dial in this space. So the first is really to pause. So whenever you feel a sense of urgency or pressure to seek reassurance, just take a pause. Second is ask yourself before calling, before doing something, ask yourself a few questions. So, what do I actually think? What feels aligned to me? And if I trusted myself fully, what would I choose? And then the last step is take some small aligned action. So this would mean something that's aligned to you, that sends your nervous system that, I'm listening, I'm trusting myself. You're holding your boundary. You might be choosing rest. And lastly, you might just be saying less and not feeling like you have to explain yourself. So those small actions build that internal safety that I am safe and I trust myself. And it's okay to let others be uncomfortable. So if we disagree with someone, it's going to be uncomfortable. If we leave someone disappointed, it's going to be uncomfortable. If someone doesn't understand us and we feel we need to justify or to re-explain, that might be uncomfortable to just let it be. And someone has their own reactions or we're uncomfortable with someone's reactions, and those are going to be discomfort as well. But stop trying to manage everyone else's emotions so that you have space to listen and to manage your own. This is steadiness and this is self leadership. So I'm going to challenge you to take a view or look across your life and say, where is a place that I'm always second guessing myself and I'm not leaning into my own? It could be scheduling, it could be family decisions, it could be work decisions, it could be things with the kids, planning the calendar, making a health habit change. But pick an area that you can commit to, that you're going to lean into listening to yourself first and acting from your own heart, from your own answer. It's going to feel uncomfortable. But I want you to choose this because, especially if it's uncomfortable, it's probably an area you need to focus in on. So let's do a little bit of reflection on this. So self trust is not built when everything feels easy. It might feel uncomfortable and it's a place to stay because you're leaning in and you're growing. You don't have to be loud, you don't have to be overly confident. And you don't have to stop asking for help. But what you do need to stop is stop leaving yourself out of it and leaving yourself behind. So who's ready to start this week and let me know how this works for you. Thanks for joining me. Super excited to close out February next month. So the live next week will obviously be a little earlier than this week. And I apologize for things being late, but I hope you've learned a couple little things you could start to look at in regards to self-trust with yourself. Have a good week.